Okay, gonna just walk you through setting up these non-transmitter pages in the new CMS for Taxi. So there's going to be two kinds of pages you're going to encounter on this list. One are pages that have already been converted to the new design, and then of course these old design pages, which will be a little bit more trickier, but I'll walk you through both of them. So we'll start with one of these. You're going to go into the list of pages, just like with the transmitter pages. Create new page. Pretty straightforward. And we're just going to copy this title right off of here. That will be our label. Like we did with the other pages, though, we want to make sure that the URL matches what's on here without the extension. So the extension is when it says .php or .html or something like that. We don't want that. And we don't need the root. So anything that's not the root, taxi.com, and doesn't include the extension is what we want to use for our URL. Or the slug, same thing. So I'm going to change that to member. The parent is going to be home page because this is just an inner page. And then the layout we're going to use is just inner page. And so you'll notice that page title popped up here. So for the page title, we're just going to use the same thing as the label. The label is just how we recognize it in the back end. The page title is what actually is going to show up here. And we don't need to do anything for the body class. For the content, we're just going to do the same thing we did before. So view page source. And all you're really looking for is kind of where this starts. So you can just look for like this, whatever this first section of text is. Find that here in the HTML. So we've got welcome to Taxi starting with an H2. So I'm just going to grab that and I'm going to copy all of this content. You can see all of this text here is still part of the article. And then once you start seeing things like sidebar, stuff like that, you know that you've reached the end of the article. And we just want the content. So we don't need these divs, these closing divs. We just want the content to the end of that last paragraph, which closes out with that closing P. I'm going to copy, go back over here. I'm going to switch this to the HTML view and just paste. And there I've got all my content. And if the images don't work, don't worry about that. That's something I have to take care of because it's kind of tricky about getting all these images ported over. So if they don't pop up, don't worry about it. I just need the reference, the code in there to look at. So everything else came in really easily. The only thing left to do now is just grab those meta tags because we want to make sure that we keep that SEO value as much as we can. So we'll use the same tags as before, title. So this one's laid out a little different, but I just got to look for that title bracket here. I'm going to go over and grab that, copy, paste, and then make sure I also get the description. Copy and paste, and that's it. Create page. And now if I were to go and view this page on the CMS, /member, you'll notice it looks very similar minus the image issues that I will go in and fix after you. So that one, pretty straightforward. Now, these older pages might be a little trickier because they're coded with tables, which just adds a bunch of extra HTML code that we have to kind of sift through. Other than that, the concept is going to be the same. So I'm going to go back to my pages list. I'm going to do create new page. This article is called 1700hertz.com interview Taxi CEO Michael Lasco. However, this was done a long time ago, so this is actually an image rather than an actual text on the page. So I'm going to have to type this one out. And you know what? This is automatically popping up. I may have already created this page. If so, that's alright. I'll delete it. We'll still just go through the concept. So we want to match the URL here. Now this one's a little trickier because it's a subpage of Abouts. We don't have a new page on the website called Abouts, but we do have one called About. I don't think, you know what, on second thought, ignore that. We don't want to move these around. I can update that later to match the URL structure if I want, so just ignore this part. Just get the end of it, whatever the URL is, and the extension .html. So I'm just going to make the slug for this one 1700 hertz, and I can already see, I think I've made this page already. So home page, still want it to just be and it's the same thing, we just want it to be an inner page. And so the rest of it's going to be the same process. I'm going to go view page source. I might as well grab the title and the meta while I'm here, or the description I mean. I don't have to scroll back up. Doesn't want to scroll for me. There we go. Copy. Okay, so here's where we're going to have to sift through some of this old school coding here. So I'm looking for the beginning of this article, which says this article was originally posted, and then kind of, you can see there's all of this code here, tr, td, table row is what that is, another table here. This is all just and this is just how it was done way back in the day. So here I can see that this article is published. I can start there. There's still a bunch of extra junky code. So what I'm going to do, and if this becomes just kind of too much, if you want to just simplify things, as long as you get the start of the content and the end of the content, I can always go back in and clean some of this up. But if you wanted to be a little more specific with it, I just want really this text here, and I can grab that I and the closing I is an old way of marking italics. So I'm going to open the HTML here and start pasting this stuff in. I don't want any of this junk. This clear GIF, it's just it's a divider thing from old coding we don't need. None of this stuff. Okay, it does have a little marker here, begin content. That's helpful. I don't want any of this junk here. Here's an opening paragraph, which is a much better indicator that we're getting into actual content. And the rest of this looks like it's just content. So P's are just paragraph breaks. So I'm just going to grab all of this long article. I'm going to go to the last paragraph, copy that. I don't want any of this stuff down here. I'm going to just pop that in. This should get me like 99% of the way there. And then I just need to put that page title in and create page. Oh, it says page created. Good. So maybe I didn't do this page yet, which is fine. So I'm going to go to the CMS here and take a look at this. Okay, not bad, right? Needs a little bit of tweaking, but the content's all there, which is good, and there's no like major layout issues. And with these old articles, it's probably not even that big of a concern, simply because we're mostly just putting them up here for SEO value, and Google doesn't care. Google cares if it can see the content. Google doesn't care if there's an extra spacing here. I care because I would just annoy me looking at it, but again, these are old pages. It's not that big a deal. So this would be, I would say, if you got all of the content ported over and these were the little details that needed to be buttoned up, this would be, this would get us light years ahead of where we're at. So hopefully this is helpful. Please let me know if there's anything else you need, and go from there. Okay.